Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Me Dark Presents Scary Movie Madness.
A very special Friday the 13th
Friday the
episode.
13th episode. This doesn't come around often.
No, I mean, I always get excited for a Friday the 13th.
So yeah, so we teased it at the end of the last episode, if you made it that far, that we would be doing Friday the 13th movies. So we're going to be talking about part 2 and 3, the original, going back to 81. We did watch the first one for our very first podcast, I think.
Unfortunately, you know, we gotta do the classics even if we don't believe in them anymore.
But the first one is crazy, like with the it's because Jason's not in it. It's the mom at the end.
Of course, that's the quintessential trick. But it still was not good.
No.
It's just not good.
We'll talk about it because it comes up again in part 2.
Yeah.
The whole mom situation.
Oh yeah, big time.
We're also going to be, I know we teased it, but we're going to be announcing the giveaway this episode. So stay tuned. We'll have that for you a little later on. And yeah, I mean, if you're, just joining us for the first time and you like the show, remember to subscribe and like it and share it and review us everywhere if you can. It just helps us grow. It helps more people find us.
Yeah, we are Me Dark Presents on every social platform.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your pods, Me Dark Presents. Follow us on Instagram. Our TikTok is blowing up. I'm super excited about it. Is really not something I'm looking to be a part of. That's all I'm saying. But the vacuum is a whole new fear, yes. Like who thinks about sucking someone's eye?
Point, like what determines whether or not they make another Saw movie is if somebody, whoever's responsible for making those movies at this point, they have to be able to come up with something like that that's worth making the movie. It's not even like we want to make the movie because we have this great story to tell you or this grand thing to say. It's just we need to now have something that's worthwhile to make this contraption.
Some insane torture device that you could never have dreamed of. I mean, these people should be in jail. Like, how do you think of these things? Like, I just am going to assume there's some serial killer tendencies here. I don't know.
What, to be able to think of these things?
To think of these contraptions.
I didn't watch the trailer for it, but I have heard that it's getting really good reviews. To your point, I don't think we've picked up a Saw movie since maybe the second or third one.
I think the last one I saw was the third one, right? That's the one where, like, she's on, like, a bed of needles. The drug addict. They put her in a room, and it's just needles everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the second one.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah,
that's what I got for you today.
Yeah, I mean, again, on the same theme that we've been on this next round is make new things, right? We can almost replace, we don't give awards for art now, with the new motto of just make new things.
Just make new shit.
We just want new things.
Like, stop giving me the same old thing in a new way.
Which, speaking of which, we did watch that new movie, No One Will Save You, the other night.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing an episode on that.
We will be.
And speaking of making new things, very cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, at least it was different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll say.
So let's dive into our first movie segment here. This is Friday, much to your chagrin, and actually after we watched it, mine as well. Friday the 13th, part 2, 1981, going all the way back.
Yep.
Right? I love going back to these old horror movies, especially during spooky season.
Same.
There's a vibe with them, right?
100%.
This is directed by Steve Miner. This is his directorial debut.
Yep.
Which is really, that's got to be really cool. To be able to say, like, this is the first movie that I made. How much fun do you think they had making this movie in 1981?
It's a big part of watching these sometimes that I have to remind myself because we will rip these apart. Okay? So,
there's not a whole hell of a lot of good to say.
There's not a whole lot of good, but I got to remind myself of the times. And exactly to your point, like being the director and getting to do the second Jason movie, right? To have that in your history of like, yeah, they called me in. It was my first time, and I got to do this. That's probably where I'm going to stop congratulating you, Steve. But yeah, it's got to be pretty cool. You got to remember, though, limited resources, limited things at the time. Horror was still a blossoming genre, if you will.
So I'm sympathetic to the fact that, yeah, they probably did have a low budget to make it. Even though the first one obviously was a hit, it just still doesn't seem like studios necessarily were taking this kind of thing seriously.
Right.
And I had mentioned to you, we're talking about trying to frame it for the time, right? So this is 1981. The original Halloween movie comes out just 2 years before this, 1979. And I believe 2 years before that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So you have these two great examples of how to make a really scary slasher film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the 70s. For some reason, we cross over into the 80s and shit gets crazy quickly. The 80s is an insane time as far as I'm concerned. Like,
different drugs.
what? Like, yeah, what happened? What happened? Because we knew how to make a movie at that point that was a scary slasher guy stalking you.
Yeah.
And it just seems like Friday the 13th and these characters, no one is interested in actually scaring you. It's just a goofy.
But again, I think like at the
nonsense.
time it had to be scary. I
You
guess.
think so?
Yes, because I think we're so desensitized from how good effects are now. Like,
Yeah,
if
but
you,
Texas Chainsaw and Halloween, those movies hold up as scary.
they definitely do. But I think where you get stuck in the 80s now is all those two movies went super practical. These
yeah, but
start.
I don't know that it's a question of the effects.
I think it
holding
is.
up.
But the effects are a big part of like what scares me or doesn't scare me. Like if it looks like cheese, I'm not scared, you know?
So I'm going to agree with you, but it's going to be in terms of another type of effect. One of the things that sucks in these movies is the kills have such little impact or sound design behind them, right?
Yes.
That's what kills it. Is
I remember,
there's no weight or gravity to the hits most of the time.
yeah, I remember saying it to you that
This is like
there was no
teenager Jason.
impact, no strength, no like violence, if
And
you
he's
will,
really not
behind
that.
it.
He's really not that big. He's just that. It's like it's not the character as you know him to be the character, or what he eventually turns into, which is this crazy abomination zombie killer guy, right? But that's not what happens in Friday the 13th Part
No.
2. He wears a bag over his head with
Potato sack with one eye.
one eye cut out, and again, like I just can't help but wonder. Who is in these production meetings looking at that going, you know what? We got to go better than what we did in the first movie, which was basically a grandma in a sweater. That was
Yeah.
our killer. So now Jason, no, we learned that he didn't drown in the lake and he actually witnessed his mother get decapitated. And now he's getting revenge on the campers for killing his mom, who was getting revenge on the campers for killing him.
Yeah.
What is this nonsense?
Yes. None of Jason's trajectory throughout the series makes sense, right? We talked about like how in the first one,
The timelines are a little wacky.
right? Like in the first one, he's a little kid who pops out of the lake at the end. Then in this movie,
So I have a theory about that.
wait, they're sitting around the campfire thing and he's telling the story 2 months later, right? Is the story that he kills this girl who survived the last camp. He comes back to get her, he kills her, but that was 2 months later and he was a kid.
When he
the
came
lake.
out of the water. I think because they keep doing this thing where he pops out of the water in the
It's
Friday
so
the
annoying.
13th. Like she's in the boat and then like
She has a dream and she
it's
falls
the dream.
asleep.
But I think that's the kid popping out of the water is meant to be a representation of her nightmare interpreting that this ghost story of this kid Jason who drowned in the lake pops out and gets it, but it never actually happens, right? I
Yeah.
don't think that that's actually ever happening. It's very confusing. They don't frame it in any way that makes any kind of sense.
Right. It's all convoluted. I really want to talk to someone who likes these movies because I need to understand, like, why.
First, let's start with the cast.
Let's do it.
Betsy Palmer returns as Mrs. Voorhees. And I'm going to jump right over to a dislike off of this, right?
Yes.
Because you and I, when we turn this on, it basically makes you watch the ending of the first one again.
Yep.
And my God, like what were they thinking? Were they thinking like the ending was so good?
Or it was so far long ago, which it wasn't.
It was the year before we had all seen this movie, right?
Just in case you don't remember, let's go back.
But it's literally like, it's like shot for shot, like basically the exact same ending. This is nonsense that they make you sit through this again. This old lady battle with her sweater on. I can't get over it. I can't get over how bad.
Saving budget, man. You got 15 minutes right there that you don't have to shoot.
I don't know. Was it supposed to be like some sort of like a subversion or a misdirection that they thought was going to pay off big? Like it's actually his mom. And everybody's going to be like, oh my God,
don't know.
I didn't see that coming. But it's not scary
Yeah, it's not scary.
at all.
No. I can't believe I have to talk about these.
So whatever. Then we have Amy Steele as Ginny, John Fury as Paul, Adrian King as Alice, Kristen Baker as Terry, aka Ass. I call her ass because she's simply in the movie because she has a nice ass and
Every
they want to show
time,
it.
every time. It's butt first.
At this point, I'm just going to stop with the cast. Like, who cares? Like, none of these characters matter at all.
It's also just about high kill count. You know, like there's lots of cast in here that doesn't develop, that has no real purpose. They send them places without any explanation just to get killed.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just
to get killed.
There's no rhyme or reason to anything.
Yeah.
And they follow so much of what happens in the first one just happens again in the second one to different people. There's always the cop and then the guy who has
the oracle who has to warn you every time with some one-liner from the backwoods country. I warn thee. I think that might be the third one.
That's the third one. It doesn't matter. It happens in the second one too.
He says something. I don't know what it is.
And that's what I mean. Like, there's no remembering or deciphering the difference between any of these characters or even the difference between the movies. Like, I have a hard time even understanding what happened in the first one versus the second one versus the third. It's all the same movie over and over.
100%. And it's so formulaic. That's it. They follow the same exact formula. Let me get a 20-person cast here, some randos that don't really matter. They're all going to die anyway, so who cares? We don't even need to develop who you are. We don't need you to care. Everyone's rooting for Jason anyway.
it's so predictable, just everything that's going to happen.
Yep.
And like you said, they set it up with the big cast, not because they really want you to root for these characters or care about them. It is just about, well, we need people for our guy to just kill.
How are we going to go 2 hours without, we need a long list of bodies.
And this is fundamentally the difference between what I would call a really great classic slasher format in Texas Chainsaw and Halloween, because in those movies, our victims are characters that we do get to spend time with and learn about and understand and actually care about whether or not they live or die.
Yeah.
That way, when the bad guy is right there in the room with them about to kill them, you go, oh my God, he's behind you, or run, get away.
Yeah.
You don't have any of that in Friday the 13th.
100%. Nothing.
Right? It's just like every time Jason is about to kill one of them, you're like, oh my, I can't wait. Like, just destroy
They
them.
do give you the wheelchair guy in this one, I guess, maybe to pull the strings.
So this is the best part of the entire Friday the 13th series as a whole. I don't care. There's probably 25 of these movies, and I don't even need to see the rest of them. This is one of the greatest kills. I laughed so hard.
Are we going right to that? Let's go.
Let's go to my likes here, because there's a character, and I remember his name because it's my name, Mark.
It just gets so much better. I love it.
And he's in a wheelchair.
Mark also cannot discern that this girl has the hots for him throughout this whole time. This one girl is all up in his biz, and he could not care less. Like, dude, come on. Like, she wants it.
But there's a scene where he gets absolutely blasted. And I mean blasted in the face with a machete.
Laughing.
It's like...
Not only that, but the blast in the face.
He falls...
At the top of a staircase.
Yeah. He goes all the way down in his wheelchair. Poor
Backwards. Backwards. He goes
backwards. I was laughing hysterically.
I mean...
It's funny.
You rewound it.
I did.
You needed to watch it again.
It reminded me of, I forget, maybe it's Conan, the late night host that Paul Rudd always plays the prank on, when he always has a clip from his new movie, but it's never a clip from his movie. It's just that scene that he plays over again of the person in the wheelchair falling off the cliff. It reminded me of that. And it's like, wow, I'm such a terrible person, like laughing at this disabled person falling down the stairs. But why is it so funny?
We're just equal opportunists, okay? Everyone's a level playing field. It doesn't matter. You're a person.
I think I was just searching for anything to have fun with in the movie. And when that happened, I was like, yes,
it was like actually memorable.
We liked his murder shed.
Oh, yeah. When they show up in the middle of the woods and they see this little thing, and I'm like, oh, that actually pretty terrifying. Okay.
It looks pretty creepy. It's like a shed made of just
metal scraps.
Metal scraps and wood, just spare parts.
And then inside, though, it's exactly like, this guy doesn't know how to live. Like, there's like a chair flipped over and like shit all around. Someone's living here not well.
Well, they refer to him as potentially a frightened R word on the loose.
Oh, yes. You got to use quotes so you can say that. The tool shed weapons, the fact that every death also came from, like, obviously we know Jason today as the machete.
Yeah,
like
the
that is
machete
his.
killer. Or the axe. He's the axe murderer.
But the machete is the pretty iconic thing. Like for his slasher world, it's that. Freddy Krueger's got the knives. He's got that. Leatherface has got the chainsaw.
I would say kind of what
Myers
is.
got the knife.
I would say what's cool about Jason is the way that they can mix up his kills because he does use all these different tools and
Yeah,
different
like you're on.
weapons and
It's
stuff.
campsite. It's
It
lake.
makes sense.
There's all these things. So like I do love that, and I do love that for that reason. You never know what the next kill will be with.
Then there's the scene with the we called it the bathroom dilemma.
The bathroom dilemma is actually one of the best ideas in the movie.
You think? I think so too.
Bringing about fear.
It was something that like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I would steal this.
Yeah.
I like this conundrum of she ends up in the bathroom and she's holding the door shut. It doesn't have a lock on it because it's just like they're in a camp like cabin somewhere. It's
Yeah.
So she's trying to hold the door shut so Jason doesn't get in, but right behind her, the bathroom window is open.
And now you're like, shh, what the hell? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And you're looking both ways and you're like, okay, is he still on this other side of the door? Is he going to pop up here? And you're trying to hold both things.
And what's cool about it too is like it's not even necessarily because that window can have multiple purposes in this dilemma, right? It could serve the purpose of, well, Jason's not going to come to the door. He can come to the window and grab you.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could be, no, I want to hold this door as tight as possible because Jason's at the door. But if I time this out correctly, maybe I can let go of the door and then jump out the window.
Oh, of course. I think like in your head, you're thinking, what can I grab to maybe jimmy this doorknob and give me enough time to get out the window?
Yeah, that too.
But
maybe
then you risk that once you get out the window, he's on the other side and now you're incapacitated because...
That's why it's a dilemma. And
what do I do?
That's what makes it scary.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to the couple, the girl with the boobies, right?
They don't really ever give you the obligatory
No,
titty
they
shot in these
they
movies.
show ass, right? Ass gets her day. She goes skinny dipping in the middle of the night.
Which like back in the day, man, people just would do anything. In the middle of the night, they go out into the woods, they go into the lakes. Like I would never do any of this.
Can we take a poll? How many people out there have actually gone skinny dipping in a lake in the middle of the night like this? Like,
There's so many
just
things,
picture
I'm
like
angry.
you're at a place like Camp Crystal Lake on vacation or whatever. Has anybody ever decided like, you know what? It's pitch black outside. I got nothing else going on.
Yeah,
Let me
there's not
just
even
take off
lights.
all of my clothes. And they always like look around too. Like, is anybody watching?
Yeah. Like, does it matter? You're in the middle of the woods. Also, like, I think about it as like, there's really no lights back in these days in these places. So it's like, it's lit because we're watching a movie and we got to see something. But like, it's pitch black if you're in the middle of the night.
I guess
you're
I could-
swimming to nowhere.
I guess I could buy because there's like docks there and stuff. And
I guess.
it is like a campground that people, although there's no campers.
That's what I mean. I don't see any. I
Aren't
don't
these
see
just
anything around.
counselors?
They were getting there like to prepare. That's
They
what
don't
it is.
make it very far, do they?
No.
And the guy warned them. He's like, you guys can't be here. Like Jason's going to kill you. And they're like, no, we're sold out. We're booked like this whole
Sorry,
summer.
we're bringing kids in this place and
It's
everything.
like everybody's going to come here in about a couple days and we're just here to set up. And they don't even make it through the setup.
I mean, make it like a day. Come on.
But like I was saying, the booby girl with her guy, it's so obvious what the kill is going to be. They're having sex in the bed and Jason's making his way over and he grabs the pitchfork and you're like, he's just going to put it through the guy's back and that's it. It's a double kill with the pitchfork.
It's a double. It's not sold entirely that that's possible, but it is a pretty epic kill, you have to say.
See, I don't think it is because, again, like compared to the bathroom dilemma that actually has some stakes, right? I'm sitting there watching her struggle with these, this situation.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, I'm like, all right, they're just sitting ducks and he's going to kill them.
I mean, I guess,
second.
but like, what else is a good, like, the other kills that we had was like a screwdriver to the head, barbed wire, Oh, there was the back of the hammer to a head. But
I do like that.
In terms of like creativity, it's just like, all right, headshots everywhere. The machete being upside down.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's a kill. There's a shot where Jason slits a guy's throat with his machete, but he slits it with the blunt end. And it's so obvious that it's the blunt end.
It's so obvious. Like, you were like, wait a minute. Let me go back.
But I don't understand because there's no way that was a real working machete.
Yeah.
That was a prop, which means that you could have just as easily used the proper side that's supposed to be sharp.
100%.
But you did a take with the blunt end and you're like, this is the one. Do you think that filmmaking was that rogue back then? That they would use a real machete in this
There's lots of
situation?
things we do today that they never would have done back then. Like all the old school directors and stuff talk about so many different things. Like, oh, we have intimacy coordinators now. We should just get on the bed and do it. Like,
Wow.
you know, there's so many layers of like protecting people's
Yeah.
safety and things like that. Like,
I would be surprised though if they had a real machete on set.
I don't know.
You ever read those crazy horror stories about the behind the scenes and making of The Wizard of Oz?
Oh yeah, that was a nightmare,
That's a
wasn't it?
creepy production to look into.
Oh yeah.
Like
I'm surprised I haven't done like a big documentary or something.
there's got to be one because I remember growing up, the big rumor was that if you watch the scene where they're all skipping away down the yellow brick road,
Yeah.
in the background, you know, you can see like the shadow cross over a production light, and people said that was a crew member hanging themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's actually not. It's like a bird or something
Yeah.
that like lifts its head
People
up in front
love
of
to make these things up. And then people just see a picture with some text and like, oh my God, did you know? No.
But I remember like we would like rewind it back and be like, see, watch, he's gonna do it here. And like you would watch and you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, we really bought it.
Oh yeah, it's so true. Also, it was a spear, not a pitchfork. for
Oh,
the
was it the
couple.
spear?
It
So
was
what
spear.
where's the pitchfork?
comes in on my favorite new segment called Where Does It Rank for Mark on a scale of People Under the Stairs to The Shining, the pitchfork through the door.
Oh, so yeah.
So for our listeners, there's been two major instances where Mark has talked about.
So this is a little muddy because The Shining is the proper, I think, realistic way in which you would break down a door with
Some type of metal.
some type of a weapon, in which case the proper weapon is an axe. There's a reason why firemen carry
an axe.
an axe with them.
Into
It's to
houses,
be able
buildings.
to cut down doors so they don't have to touch the doorknobs and stuff. That's the purpose of an axe, right?
Yes.
And I made the joke, look how long it takes Jack Nicholson in a fit of rage, right, in The Shining, to bust down this interior hollow door with an axe. It's hard to do. And then the people under the stairs,
This impenetrable fortress.
yeah, this impenetrable fortress house, she comes running with a butcher knife from the kitchen and stabs through the exterior door of the house, which is always
One shot.
a solid wood door or some sort of a steel door. Like this is a hard, and forget it. It would take you a long time with an axe, and she busts through it with a butcher knife from the kitchen.
Just one hit and it just crumbles around the blade.
Insane. So yeah, now in this movie, Jason
So
does
on the scale.
use a pitchfork to punch through a door. Now this one I'm going to say is plausible for
Why?
two reasons. Because I'm going to say that the doors used in this camp are probably pretty flimsy, crappily put together.
Yeah, they do look, because even the bathroom one, when I remembered it, it's like she's got to hold this like
There's no
flapping ass
latch to
door.
it even.
Yeah, they're so
They're
thin
flimsy.
and yeah, like trailing in the wind doors.
And then number two is, you know, he's super strong, Jason. Or at least I know him to be super strong. Maybe in this movie,
It
he's
definitely
not,
doesn't come across in this movie, and
No.
that's where it bothers me. It's
he is
like,
a regular guy.
how are you getting that through the door that quick, sir? No,
Yeah, this doesn't cross over into the supernatural world of
Jason.
Jason
yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that the Jason one is plausible. I'll let it pass.
Okay.
The
interesting.
ultimate fail is People Under the Stairs.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like there's no way in which this could happen. Physics
They're
would
the
never
one,
allow it.
and The Shining is 5.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have some sort of a superhuman thing that's breaking down. But even then, you're using a butcher knife. That weapon is just gonna break.
It's barely even a butcher knife that she has. She just has like
a kitchen
a
knife.
regular kitchen knife. I don't know. All right. But the last piece of this that I think really just, I was over it. Okay.
Uh-huh.
At the end.
Okay, yeah.
At the end, they come across
Oh, the
a
shrine.
shrine.
The shrine.
And what is in the middle? It is Jason's mom's head. Only
Yeah.
it looks nothing like Jason's mom's head, and it looks everything like a Fisher-Price chicken nugget. And that is the only way I can describe this damn head.
Yeah.
I swear the first thing I thought of was those little plastic McDonald's toy set nuggets. What
Yeah.
the hell were they doing? It didn't look anything like a person. I don't know. Like, I guess you're supposed to assume like, oh, it's just rotting. But that's not what the head looked like in the fridge in the beginning.
It absolutely looks like a plastic chicken nugget.
It looks like a chicken. It is a chicken nugget. Like,
It's crazy.
and it's horrible. They really put a shot on there too. Like they were like, this is going to be horrifying. And I was like, oh my God, what am I watching?
Well, don't forget though, you could get away with a lot more back then because the
Yeah.
resolution wasn't
great.
what it is
We're
today.
watching on a 4K TV. Like,
Well, yeah, and granted, we're not watching a 4K print of
No.
Friday, but it is. We did stream it on HBO Max, so I'm sure this is digitally remastered from its original print format because they probably own all that stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, they do port it over digitally. It does look great, I must say.
Yeah.
I was almost sort of disappointed with how good it looked. I was hoping that we would get more of the look of when you and I watched the first one, because I believe that we watched the first one in its original format in poor quality. I think you should try to watch it in poor quality. if you
Yeah.
can.
It probably is better.
I
Because
think it
like,
would enhance the experience.
you don't see the strings on things.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to coin a phrase here with this one, because what did I call the woods?
Well, this goes back to like, you got this couple and they wander away into the
Jason fested woods.
Yeah. And that's what you exclaim out. Why are you going to the Jason fested woods out of nowhere for no reason?
There was absolutely no reason for it.
Yep.
So let's do a quick rundown on the scorecard so we could jump
Sure.
over to. Actually, you know what? We'll do the scorecard here. We'll announce the giveaway, and then we'll do part
Woo! Love
three.
it.
So for acting, I gave it a big old fat 1.
I mean, if I could give it a 0 on our scale, I would. I just kept saying like, oh, this would be so much better if like they had any emotion at all in anything they said.
I don't think it's fair to give zeros because at the end of the day, listen, these people, they made a movie, which is hard to do.
Fine.
So,
I said if we could and we can't.
it's a 1 just for the effort put forth. And you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say everybody that was involved in the making of this movie, they probably had limited time, they had limited money, and
Yeah.
they go, listen, we're not making The Godfather here. Just get in and get out.
I'm just saying, I'm a terrible actress, Mark, and I could do better.
Probably. But, our standards have shifted over the course of time.
Yeah, so 1s across the board.
So I didn't use effects as a category on this one because I just thought it wasn't really fair to this genre and what they were attempting to do. And I said, this movie is really about kills, right? So let's rate the kills in Jason.
I love this because I listed every single one.
Yeah.
Just so that I could have a real handle on how to rate these now.
And what did you give it for kills?
I'm still only giving it a 2.
That's horrible.
It's horrible because there's so many, but they're like, if there's going to be that many kills, they got to be unique. Like it gets old. Like, oh, another one to the head. Oh, okay, another one to the head. Okay.
All right, so I gave it a 2.5 because first of all, just the kill on Mark alone with the machete blast is just. But so I gave it a little bit of a nudge there. You get a 0.5 point extra. I was at the base level you were with the 2s, but
yeah, it just feels like there's a lot of them. They're kind of predictable.
I think they could have. And I had said this while we were watching it. I want to pick like a scene in one of these movies, either part 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and I want to redo it. I want
100%.
to re-edit it. I want to add some visual effects to it, some sound design, some different color grading. I want to see if I can take some of these situations
and make
like
it scary.
beef them up and modernize them to make them actually scary. Because I think you can get some cool kills out of this with way more gore.
Yeah.
Right? Because what did you give it for gore? I only gave it a 2.
Yeah, same. I mean, that's even being kind of generous.
Yeah. So I think adding some gore, the sound design element needs to be big.
Yes.
Right?
The fact
We'll
that there's
get
no
to it.
sound on kills is like, what are we doing?
Well, because even like when we talk about the third one, I remember by this time I had just gotten sick of his whole.
Well, because again, that's supposed to be like a thing that makes your skin crawl, and I'm like, oh, here it comes.
They
Like,
use it
so
much.
many times, so many times.
Scare factor, I gave it a 1.
Yeah, 1.
It's not.
We're
scary.
laughing the whole time.
I was laughing a lot. It's fun if you want to watch a comedy.
Oh my god! I don't think it was. It wasn't meant to be. That's the thing.
Story is a 1.
Nothing.
Rewatchability a 1.
Absolutely not. I don't know. Okay.
All right, so let's announce the giveaway here and go.
Okay. We are super excited about this one. We are celebrating the return of Me Dark Presents. It's also primetime spooky season,
Hell yeah.
Halloween. And for that reason, we have a Mike Myers 6-scale
6-scale.
figure by Sideshow Collectibles up for grabs. We are super excited to be able to give this away. This is going to be a really fun one because there's going to be multiple ways you can enter to get entries. So we will be posting all of those details. You'll be following us on Instagram, subscribing to us on YouTube, entries for watching Mark's short film, The Pig.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few different ways that you can enter. So look out for those details. It all kicks off today.
So I could have made your life way easier. It's this thing. This is literally what you're getting.
We have one.
Okay, I have.
What's crazy is it is sold out. It's on a notify me basis on the site right now.
Oh, is it on the wait list?
Yeah, so you can't even just order and get it right now.
I know some people. I used to work for the company that makes these, actually. That was the first gig I got out of college. I happened to know somebody is how I got that job. But nonetheless, yeah, I spent a year out in California working for that company. It was cool. Like I got to work at Comic-Con. I got to meet Stan Lee, and
I remember you making that like zombie video thing.
Yeah.
Zombie School.
At the time, Sideshow was trying to do this thing because they were primarily, making collectibles for stuff that already exists like this, that are really big in pop culture, like Star Wars. And Star Wars was huge for them. They did start out with horror stuff, but not like this. Like they've really elevated the horror stuff.
Yep.
Really cool company. I would check them out. You can go to sideshowcollectibles.com. They have something for everybody on there, really.
Yeah. All right. So the giveaway runs October 13th at midnight through October 31st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All terms and conditions will be posted on our page. So take a look and
wonderful. I'm
join
excited.
the game.
I'm excited to give that away. We actually got some other cool giveaways right behind it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is great. All right, so let's go to movie number 2 here, our next segment. Again, directed by the same guy, Steve Miner. He did such a great job doing that one that they're like, you know what, Steve? It's the following year. It's 1982. We need another one of these. And
but that's what's
like,
crazy is
what do you
people
got?
actually went to see it and it did well because you got budget for a third one.
You know what's funny to me is like, yeah, let me go back because I have this written out. So the first one is written by Ron Kurz,
Victor Miller and Sean S. Cunningham.
Yeah. And then the second one is written by completely different
No,
people.
Victor Miller's
back. Okay. But the rest, Martin, I can't even say that name, Kitrosser.
Martin Kitrosser.
And then Carol Watson. New writers, well, except for Victor, he's back. Same director, same exact script.
They were like, all right, here it is.
They hire these 2 new guys like, we really need to punch this up. And they're like, all right, Victor, what do you got for a first draft? And he's like, well, I have the second movie. So let's just, whatever we did then, let's just do it again.
Formula. It worked. Just get new characters, new names, new ways to die. Let's do it.
We'll mix it up. And now
and by the way, we're also going to open this one with 15 minutes of how the other one ended.
Again.
Okay? Just to save us some time.
We have to watch the dreadful ending of the last film before we can watch the new one.
Insane.
Whose idea was this?
I don't know. What movie does that stop happening is my question.
I don't know. Are we really? We're not even going to look into part 4 or 5 or 6
No,
or 7.
I'm good.
Who cares? I think they redid Jason. I think it came and went. Like,
yeah.
Who cares? So yeah, we have again the cast: Dana Kimmel as Chris, Tracy Savage as Debbie, Richard Brooker as Jason, Gloria Charles as Fox. Again, it doesn't matter. It does. When I mean it doesn't matter, I mean it doesn't matter.
But no one did anything
because you'll watch this movie and you won't remember anything.
Oh my God. What I do remember about this one is that the 80s are alive and well.
So right away, they hit us
80s to the face.
With this title sequence. What the heck? What's happening?
I don't know, man. It's like I wasn't sure if we were still watching the right thing. Like, did one of our dogs step on the remote? It just wasn't. It's not a horror movie entranceway by any means.
No, they hit you with the 3D text graphics that come out from a mile away. The extrude function on the text set to 1,000. Like It's extruding out, and we see this long trail of 3D. I'm like, wow, you think they wanted to let everybody know that we can make the text look 3D at this point? Like, how 3D can we make it? Well, we can extrude it 1,000 pixels.
But and it's like, it's not just the animation, it's all the music in this one. It's like I'm watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's not a horror movie. The soundtrack is so far from anything that is scary, and this whole opening scene sets the tone.
You had the best description for the music. You're like, are we watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And I'm like, yeah, I think, we might be. Like, that's how confusing the title sequence is. Like, you think you're watching.
It's so bad.
Friday the 13th.
So bad.
That's supposed to be so scary. And you're like, but you feel like this might be Ninja Turtles.
This might be Ninja Turtles. Hold on, turtle power.
So,
oh man,
going into the likes, what do you like about this, if anything?
I can't even. So I fell asleep.
Okay, yeah.
If we remember, I'm quintessential for this. If you don't keep my attention, I'm out.
You'll just fall asleep.
So we had to watch it again for me.
So that's what you liked about it, that you got a nap.
I got a nap. The only thing I can actually find redeeming about this is the high kill count. Like, I think that this movie is where Jason starts to get so savage. Like, they literally, back where we said the other one had a long cast for just bodies, this one takes it to another level. Like, you got a whole gang, you got convenience store workers.
Oh my God.
You got the convenience store worker, first of all, that they try to even give you a backstory for no reason of him eating all the food.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's holding a bunny. He's eating all the food in the convenience store.
Everything he sees.
His wife is like, what are you doing? I told you, I've been cooking for you. You can't lose weight if you eat all these snacks. And it's like, you got this story about them and for no reason, because he's about to go take a shit and die. Boom, he's dead. Like, what was the point?
He eats something really, the fish food.
Oh my God. He's holding the bunny and he goes over to the tank and he eats it and he's like, oh, maybe I'll eat this too.
There's such
weird story.
With a random bunny. And is it somebody's pet? Because like it looks like a soft.
It's his pet.
Clean,
remember? Then he goes to the cage and he sees them all dead. He's like, who would do this? And the snake is like, bah! Comes out of him.
Snake on a string.
Snake on a string.
The old snake
on a string.
The old snake on a string gets him every time.
But yeah, I mean, like stuff like that. And I mean, it's great because it gives you bodies to kill. But it was like, all right, this was useless to me.
We have the I have warned thee guy with the eyeball. You got that. You got to have the eyeball.
The eyeball. They do at least carry that through. But yeah, high kill count's all I got. So
I have the most obvious like. It's that Jason finally gets his proper mask, right? He gets to don the iconic hockey mask.
Yes.
Which, this is what we know Jason to be. So it takes 3 films for us to get to this point.
Which is so wild.
But I coined the phrase, Dad. This is Dad Bod Jason.
This is Dad Bod Jason.
Right? He moves.
His stance.
Yeah, he moves like an old dad.
His outfit is old daddish.
His outfit is very much like an old dad. Hilarious. So he has his stages. It's like he's a myth, ghost story, kid who perished in the lake. But no, not really. He's actually this guy who lives in a murder shed outside Camp Crystal Lake who wears a bag over his head because he has all these deformities and people make fun of him.
Yep.
Gets killed in the second one. Somehow he's back. We don't really know how. He's just back. But he's not really zombie Jason yet. He's just like grown up now.
Yeah.
And now he's got his dad bod.
Oh my goodness. It's a wild ride. It's a wild ride, but not in a good way.
Yeah. So to your high kill count, yeah, fine. It's more of the same shit with the killing of the camp counselors again.
It is.
Never campers. No. They don't make it to the campers.
You can't kill kids in this time of, horror movies. That would have been real blasphemous. Only adults.
I think the thing that I was appalled by the most in this movie was not even any of the kills. It was this hippie guy who doesn't wear shoes. Anywhere. And I'm talking about like, you're at the lake or whatever.
You're one with nature, my friend.
Fine. But he's got to go and now investigate. I guess he's trying to turn the power back on. Where is he? He goes into
I don't even
some
know.
basement.
It's like outside and around into a basement. It's all wet. And
it's soaking wet on the bottom. It's rusted everywhere. He's just stepping with his
tetanus everywhere.
Bare feet in this filth.
There's probably like leeches, and I don't know. I just think of all that. I'm out.
Oh,
no, thank you.
God.
And he does it in the porta potty.
He goes
He's
into the bed.
What is this movie with people on the toilet? This is the second person who's on a toilet.
It's a very vulnerable spot.
Very vulnerable, and just gets up. Just gets up mid poop and doesn't even clean himself up. Nothing. Two of them.
There's something to that.
I'm very
though.
mad about it.
Like killing somebody in a bathroom. There's something to that. That could be a very powerful scene
Yeah.
because you are very vulnerable in that moment.
Yeah, well, that's the first guy. The first guy dies that.
Yeah.
I have to say though, like every dude in this movie annoyed me. Like back to no character development. Like the character development is that every guy in this one is a douche.
Yeah.
You got Shelly, the ugly one. He's supposed to be the ugly one that they
right.
set up, like the single one with the friend, and he's doing all the fake scares, and he talks to this girl, and he's like,
He's
"Look,
the
I
one that
really
can't
like you," and she's like, "Just no,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it when I get back." And she walks away, and he's like, "Sure, we'll talk, bitch."
Yeah. under his breath, he calls her a bitch.
And I'm like, "Oh, I thought he was actually this nice guy." No, jerk face. Then you have the other guy, the jock guy, who's hitting a yo-yo in the girl's face. They're all like childish flirting that like I just couldn't wait for Jason to slash you. And then the face body dude, the guy is like no neck and like he's just.
That's why you call him face body, because he has no neck?
Yeah, you're a face and a body.
See, I would associate that with like an overweight person. This guy's in good shape.
It was something we came up with
It's a strapping
back when I
young
was
man.
a Hooters girl.
Well, he aggressively just like starts kissing.
Yeah, like the girl gets in the house and she doesn't even know he's there, and she just opens the door and he's just like right in there. It just felt like every guy, I just couldn't wait to see them get slashed.
This is part of the deal, I think, with the Friday the 13th. Just the formula of it, right? Is you're really just not meant to care about any of these characters other than, you know, the one solo girl at the end, which I do like the chase scene at the end with the girl. I thought
They
was
do
decent.
go on a long time, yeah.
It's actually the one part that I know, like, even though we see Jason probably a little bit too many times during the chase, that's the thing is they're not as good at obscuring him as, again, Texas Chainsaw was at limiting Leatherface's screen time.
And still having the setups be scary in between. Like there was so much there that filled you with dread before you saw him. And it's like, this
and when
is
you are
not scary
introduced to
when
him,
he's not
it's like
there.
you get like a split second of him hitting the guy,
Violent.
pulling him in, and then slamming the door, and you're
Gone.
like, "What the hell?
What was that? What just happened?"
Now, could you imagine if you treat Jason that way, looking the way that he does at this point, even though he has this dad bod?
Yeah, with the mask,
I mean,
scary.
it would be scary.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, they do kind of a nice little chase sequence here at the end with this.
I agree. We didn't even talk about the gang.
The gang is rough. And this is where, you know, let's talk about them, because let's go to the scorecard, because I don't think that really much else needs to be said about this. And I got a game I want to get to.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I didn't know we had a game
We have a
today.
game to get to.
Okay.
So, acting, again, a fat one. Okay. And I think mostly I think the acting is actually much improved in this one from the second
You
one.
can tell it's getting a little
getting
better.
But the gang is
The gang.
so bad.
It's so bad. Like the girl with her like, "What do you say?" with the wallet, and she's like, "You say, can I have it, ma'am?" And it's like, it's not yours. What do you mean? Like, why do I have to be polite when you're stealing my item? No.
Well, that's the idea.
I
It's
know.
supposed to be intimidating. It's just
But it's not.
It's
It's
just not.
not. And then the guy with the chains, Shelly runs over the bikes and he comes back and he's like, "He went too far." And he's circling around and he hits the bikes again and he's like, "I'm
my
going to get you." And he's like all mumbling under it. And it's so cliche, like
That part
cartoon.
That part annoyed me because he just sort of sits there and lets Chain Guy punch through his windshield.
Like he's sitting there so long. So
Also,
long.
how weak were windshields back then? It's not even tempered glass. It's just like a guy with a chain, a grown man with a chain could just punch through it. And it's just shards of glass.
It also wasn't real glass, no way. Like it was like the glass bottles used to like break overhead because you could see how it's broken and it's
candy
just
glass.
like
Yeah.
candy glass. The white dude in the gang, how bad he was.
He's the worst with the slick back hair.
And he's just the worst acting possible.
Very bad.
So awful.
Jeez.
Just can't And
Ball of
again,
cheese.
they're there for nothing more than the kill count and then the fact that the guy somehow lives in the shed at the end. And we're like, what? Like, how did he survive? He got his arm cut off?
It doesn't because it doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want in the end. Like Jason can go through. You could throw him into one of those wood chippers and he'll come back.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because why not? We need to.
All right. Well, anyway, my tangents. That's a 1.
That's a 1 for acting. For kills, I dropped down to a 2.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. But the amount of kills in here, some of them are pretty dang good in terms of like the creativity of how they would die. Like, I think they start to really change it and utilize more tools, if you will, and more ways to get people. So I gave it a 3 actually because I liked the range of kills.
There is a nice range. The one where he like shoots the harpoon through the girl's eye.
The hot fire poke. There's the electrical box.
Was this the one where he picks the guy up by his head and like squishes and the eyeball pops out? All right,
there's 2 eyeball kills in this for the Oracle.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
I see. I told you.
Go up. Yeah.
Told you. Now you're gonna go up. All right, but now gore.
Gore is a 2.
I agree. The eyeball and the head smash are the goriest parts. There's a few other like key moments throughout, but again, this isn't a movie that like you're really going to be looking away. Like
no.
I got to like Antichrist for an example. Like if I'm looking away more than once, that's where the scale goes up. But you got to really give me something.
I think Antichrist is the one movie that I had to look away from. There's
I could not do it.
What happens at the end of that movie is obscene. It's obscene. It's
probably the last like 30 to 45 minutes of it. Yeah.
Yikes.
From when the leg thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That's another day. But gore 2.
Yeah,
you're not going past. Yeah.
Scare, it's a 1 again. Too
laughing.
Goofy. Yeah.
Laughing the whole time.
Story is a 1. There isn't a story.
There's nothing. It's
and then rewatch is a 1 also.
Never again.
All right. So last segment here, we're doing a game 50-50.
Woo! Okay. Is this on me?
This is
all on me.
Yeah, you have to determine.
So that means next pod I got to give you the game.
Sure.
All right.
So because there are so many horror films and so many of them have ridiculous names, it's very hard to keep up with all of them. And I thought it would be fun to invent a game where I make up a horror movie that doesn't exist, and then I give you the name of a real one, and it's up to the person to determine.
I mean, we've been doing this game for a long time.
Yeah. I'm going to have 4 options for you here.
I'm terrible at this game.
Yeah, I purposely put stuff that I know that you won't.
Yeah, this isn't even D-list. We're on E.
Well, you'll be surprised by some of these.
Okay, I'm ready.
So the first choice, is it Carnivore Carl, Feast of the Forsaken?
Oh my God.
Or The Disappointments Room? Carnivore Carl, Feast of the Forsaken, or The Disappointments Room?
This is impossible. All right, I'm just going to go with my gut. I'm going to say the real one is Carnivore Carl.
Wrong. The Disappointments Room.
The Disappointments Room sound like something you would make up.
So the reason why I included this on the list is it doesn't even sound correct. But it is a real movie. Like, if I was to name this movie, I would say The Disappointment Room.
Yeah.
There's
multiple disappointments in it.
Or The Room of Disappointments.
I don't know. That's why I thought that was the fitting one.
And you know who's in this movie? Kate Beckinsale.
She's on a downward spiral.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's 0 for 1.
Okay. I'm usually not the big winner on this game.
Second option. Okay. Is it Bad Taste or It Happened on Shadowbrook Lane?
It Happened on Shadowbrook Lane.
Is the real one.
Is the real.
Nope.
The worst.
Bad Taste. I'm good at making up fake horror movies.
You are. This is the talent you have.
I'll say this. It's gotten even easier with the invention of ChatGPT.
Do you just go like, hey, make me a horror movie that doesn't exist?
It's decent. ChatGPT is decent at it, but it kept doing this thing that like most people will do when you ask them to come up with something is they use, I always say it's alliteration, but I don't think alliteration is proper because I told at ChatGPT because I call it a she. She kept giving me results that had alliteration, like doubling up, like the Venom Vixens and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, not every of the 10 choices, all of them have that. I'm like, no, that's obviously a made up name. So I said, give me ones that don't have alliteration. And then she just did the same thing again. So it's like, all right, maybe it's not alliteration. I looked it up. It's called, I think it's called consonance. Is when you have the two things next to each other.
NCE, consonance.
Consonance, I think, is what alliteration is more of like a phrase.
No, but alliteration,
so alliteration
is
more than two. And I think two is a consonance. But either way, I had to sort of like use a little bit of what she gave and then put my own flair on it.
And then spin it. Yeah. Okay.
AI is not quite
there yet. All right. Well, it's stumping me, so here we are.
So Bad Taste, interestingly enough, this is one of, if not the first movie that the great Peter Jackson ever directed.
What it like?
Know nothing about it.
Okay.
I didn't really go into the description of it, but I was like, what the heck is this movie? I was like, wait, Peter Jackson directed this?
I mean, has he done any horror ever since?
Yeah, he does. I think he did a follow-up. His next follow-up movie was also a horror film. I think that's how he started out.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one, funnily enough, I don't know if I remember which one is real. So let me look this up quick.
Hold on. Quick Google moment.
Even I don't remember.
Before I have too much time to think about it, let me take a little sippy sip.
Okay. Is it, for the third installment here, is it, you're 0 for 2. You got to get at least one of these.
I'm terrible.
Is it Eaten Alive or The Silent Hour? Eaten Alive or The Silent Hour?
Eaten Alive is the real one.
Correct.
Yeah!
Eaten Alive is the correct film.
Woo!
Directed by none other than the man who brought us Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper.
Maybe we should watch this
I think I'm going to have to watch Eaten Alive. Although I think...
Is it like a cult classic thing? Is it like...
So I actually have this here. Here is the log line.
Okay.
A psychedelic redneck who owns a dilapidated...
I'm in already.
A psychedelic redneck who owns... Oh no, why am I saying psychedelic? A psychotic redneck.
Psychedelic was
kind of cool.
Could have been
a psychotic redneck who owns a dilapidated hotel in rural East Texas, because of course, Texas.
Yeah.
Kills various people who upset him or his business, and he feeds their bodies to a large crocodile.
This sounds like something Rob Zombie would remake.
God, I hope not.
But it just listen to that. It's like some redneck thing in the backwoods.
I want to watch
crocodiles. He's psychotic. It sounds like a Rob Zombie. Like, if I had to remake something.
That sounds great. Directed by Tobe Hooper, about a psychotic killer in the backwoods of Texas who feeds his victims to crocodiles. Great.
Remember when we had that Halloween party, The Experiment, and we did the questionnaire, and we had to have our friends come up with how they would kill someone, dispose of the bodies, and we recorded the whole thing because it was amazing. But everyone had these questions of like, if you would kill someone, how would you do it?
Yeah.
How would you dispose of the bodies? And how would you not get caught or something? Like there was like 3 questions.
Yes.
And one of them was like someone did, what's that movie where it's like a pig farm? Snatch.
Yeah. Be wary of any man who owns a pig farm.
Yeah. And was like, a pig farm?
A pig, and so this is
a pig farm.
And what's funny enough is like that movie was so impressionable, right? It actually did sort of inform how I treated the character of the pig in my movie, The Pig. Because I'm like, wow, like, because we were trying to struggle, like, does he have a weapon or anything like that? And I was like, I think maybe he just eats people, right? Because he's like, he starts out as this sloppy, guy who's like eating soup with his hands and stuff like that. So it just stood to reason, like, once he gets these murderous powers, I'm like, he would just eat them like a pig would. A pig would just eat your body.
The hybrid piece, yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, if you need a game for a Halloween party, it's a really fun one. You'll really figure out which of your friends are murderers. All right, what's my last
one? These are wild. Okay.
Whew. Okay, here we go.
Is it A Night at the Crimson Cabaret?
Oh my God.
Or Strip Nude for Your Killer?
What?
Yep. A Night at the Crimson Cabaret or Strip Nude for Your Killer. Which is the real movie?
I want to get this because then it's true 50-50 if I get this.
You
if I
have
get this
gotten
right,
half of
everything's
them
on the line. All right. I'm going with my first instinct. I'm not going to think about it. Cabaret.
Incorrect.
Oh, no!
Strip Nude for Your Killer.
What the fuck?
Now, to be fair, I looked at the movie poster for this one, and it does seem to be in a different language, which does seem to lead
That the
in my
title
brain
was...
that the translation is getting lost a little bit.
Yeah,
to
that always
English.
happens with these.
But it was,
so I feel tricked. I
but
feel
it was,
duped.
Yeah, but it's too funny not to include it.
It's
if
too
you
funny.
go on IMDb, it is listed as Strip Nude for Your Killer.
This was fraudulent.
All right. Well, you did get one at least. You weren't 0 for.
At least I wasn't completely out.
So next episode, you'll come up with a game for me to play.
You know
That'll
I
be
have
fun.
some fun ones.
Okay. And yeah, we're going to do an aliens episode, right? Because aliens are real now. I don't know if you've been following all the alien stuff that's
feel
gone
like,
on over the summer and
Yeah. You know how I feel.
whatever. I'm into aliens.
I know you're into aliens.
Well, there was a cool new movie that's been getting a lot of buzz. It's it's marketed as a horror scary movie.
No one will
which
save you.
No one will save you. It's on Hulu. We watched that. We're going to pair that with Signs. M. Night Shyamalan Signs from 2002. I think that'll be a nice pair. We'll get a nice little alien episode.
Yeah. Fun times.
Listen, I need to be scared, right? Aliens are freaking scary. Jason is not.
I mean, aliens would be scary to me if it wasn't always the same cliche thing. But we'll talk about it next week.
All right,
I got
fine.
lots to say there,
That's
as
it
usual.
for this episode.
And remember,
We don't give awards for art.
Baby, where's your pretty head? You're looking like you're seeing red. Are you going to places in the past? Or feeling like you're typecast?